get my 6. I haven't come from that side of the camera in a while, so I figured I'd try to trick you today. I'm up here at the fire pit at the campground. We're thinking about having a fire this evening, but there's some big wind gusts, so we may not. That's not safe. Somebody asked in a video last week where I showed the fire pit I built last week. I mentioned that this had been on the honey-do list for 4 years, and I finally got around to doing it. Somebody said, was there a particular reason you did it today? Actually, there was. It's because I was trying to find anything I could do to keep myself from running. I took a week off because I wanted that hamstring. I had a hamstring injury. I wanted it to heal completely, and it did. I took a whole week off. That was so hard because running has become not just a habit or way of life, but an addiction I once had. I re-sparked that addiction. It's a healthy addiction. So not to lose any of the fitness I'd gained over the last 6 months of really actually training for real, and to not put on any weight. I biked a couple of days because that didn't, when you bike, your legs are going up and down like this. The hamstrings back here, you never fully extend it, or you never hyperextend it. When you run, of course you do. So did a couple nice bikes, ran Saturday. It was a week to the day since I'd run, and I had no issues. Biked the next day, Sunday, then ran again today, 3 miles. I'm back. I'm healed. I'm 100%. So that's to answer the question about the fire pit. And it's also kind of a lead-in into the story I want to tell you today. A couple stories. And these are the things that the mainstream media doesn't talk about. Is it a cover-up? Yeah, I do. I think it's one of the largest, most shameful cover-ups in American society. And what they're covering up is that the world is by far more beautiful than it is ugly. It's a beautiful place. It's full of beautiful people who do amazing things. But I guess that's boring. Nobody wants to hear about that. So they service the drama, the chaos, try to use this thing called identity politics, where they try to put us all in little groups and then convince us that we all hate each other because we're in different groups. Sadly, it's effective. But we do have control over it, and that's to just turn it off. Stay away from mainstream media. Stay away from people that watch it too much. Stay away from negative people who are always focusing on the bad. We want to talk about how bad things are, how terrible the world is. That's unfortunate. Just listen to this. I was talking about running. When you're on the internet, even like a news site, the articles that get served to you are based upon the cookies, places you've gone in the past. They know what you're interested in. Google knows more about you. And if I would have told you this 10 years ago, you would have said I was one of those crazy conspiracy theorists. It's true now. It's common knowledge. Everybody knows this. If you have a device in your house, in your car, wherever you are, and it's hooked to the internet, you're being listened to. I told a story a couple years ago about how some friends of ours had come over and they brought their son's motorcycle over because their son and our son, he has a four-wheeler, Daniel. They were riding together here on the property. And my friend had spilled a little bit of fuel in the bed liner of his SUV. And so he took it out. We were cleaning it properly with sawdust and throwing it in the trash in a bag and all that. And I said, wow, this truck bed liner is really nice. We need to get one of these, don't we, honey? I said that to my wife. I'd never searched for truck liners on the internet ever. Never Googled them or anything. But later that day, after our friends left and I got back in the house, went online, checked stuff out, and I was getting served all these ads for truck bed liners. My wife had her phone on her, and so that's just proof in the point. So anyway, this creates a snowball effect. If you're watching all the nasty stuff out there, the riots, the protests, the hate this group, hate that group, you're just going to see more and more of it every time you get online because Google says, well, shoot, this is what you're interested in. Well, that compounds your negative thinking and your negative outlook on life and your negative view of the world. I don't get served that crap. I mean, I mentioned the other day, it was last week, because there was a gubernatorial election here in Virginia, and that I wasn't even going to vote in, but I went out to vote against the mainstream media because they just kept telling me how racist I was because I was a rural white Virginian. Whatever. So you have that periodic target marketing when they'll do that, like during a political election. But normally I get stuff about athletes. I got one today I want to share with you about a runner. It's a girl, a female, a young lady. Her name is Alyssa Clark. She's 28 years old, and she's from Burlington, Vermont. She just did something amazing, and most of you probably will not hear about what she did if you didn't come here and hear it from me, because the mainstream media doesn't like stories like this, because Alyssa Clark doesn't proclaim to hate anybody. She is a Caucasian woman, but she wasn't caught losing her temper in public, so they're not labeling her a Karen. She's a runner, and she just broke a world record. Alyssa Clark, 28, Burlington, Vermont, ran 95 marathons in 95 days. Just thinking of that makes me want to hydrate. It's amazing, isn't it? So here's her story. When the COVID lockdown first happened back in 2020, she had been training for ultras. These are races longer than a marathon. A marathon, of course, being 26.2 miles. I've never run, the farthest I've ever run in my life is 17 miles. And my body just broke down and wouldn't go anymore. Of course, I was a 5,000 meter runner back then. That was back in college. So I wasn't training for longer races. But 26.2 miles. So she'd been training for this ultra race, this 335-mile race. It starts in Georgia and ends in Alabama. Well, they canceled all the races she was going to do. So, and then she was on lockdown. Her husband is in the Navy, and they were actually stationed in Italy. And so she just started running 26.2 miles every day. And she thought, well, I'll just do this for this 2 weeks that we're on lockdown. And then that'll keep my mind off of the race being canceled and all this stuff. Well, then, of course, as you know, and I don't know how many people saw it coming, some did, some didn't, the lockdown got extended for a long time. Just now coming out of it, some places are still on lockdown. So she just kept running 26.2 miles a day every day. And then once she had done that for like 25 days straight, she just kind of had this curious thought, is there a record for this? And am I close? So she got to searching, and she found out there was a record set in 2015 by a woman from England named Alice Birch. She ran 60 marathons in 60 days. A marathon a day for 2 months. Incredible. So Alyssa Clark of Vermont said, hey, I'm almost halfway there. I may as well go for it. So she did. She kept going for it. Now listen, if you miss one day, count's over. It's done. This woman is a hero. She's inspirational. I'm going to tell you why. Her husband was being transferred back to the States, to Florida, while she was in the middle of this, trying to break this record. So they had to make an international move. Something I've done, a couple times, from here to Asia and Middle East and all that and back. It's a 24-hour trip from here to the Philippines, where my wife's from, where I lived for many years. That is a very long, brutal 24 hours. Oh, it's like, I think 16 hours total flight time with 8 hours of layovers. They were on their way from Italy to the U.S. They laid over at a military base in Germany, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, Alyssa went out and ran a freaking marathon on the base, 26.2 miles, in order to keep her streak alive. Then, of course, the next day when they got to Florida, she's back at it again. 95 marathons in 95 days. That is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, let me tell you what it is that she really did, okay? Yes, obviously she ran 95 marathons in 95 days. That's a heck of a feat. Excuse me. But what she did even more so than that, in my humble opinion, is that she inspired so many others. She inspired me to come on here and tell you folks, 5,000 or 6,000 of you will probably see this video over the next few days. Now you're getting inspired. you're thinking, oh my gosh, if she can do that, I can, at least go out and start walking. I can do something, I made a video last week on the day of our state's election, and I didn't finish a thought I was having in the middle of the video. I was kind of riled up because I was just sick and tired of having the media tell me I'm all these nasty, terrible things I'm not. And I started to mention this, but as you know, if you watch my videos, sometimes I get derailed. I mentioned about how so many people in our society, they know what they are. They're a doctor, they're a lawyer, they're a teacher, but they don't know who they are. And I'm going to try to finish this thought now, and I hope it makes sense to you. What it boils down to is purpose. And it's what you feel your purpose may be for you and your family. But then beyond that purpose, there's a ripple effect. There's waves. Like Alyssa Clark, 28-year-old Alyssa Clark was out there to break that world record. The ripple effect of that is she's inspired people like me to continue on my journey, which is to just continue to run and stay healthy, get even more fit, get in shape come spring and summer, continue to race when the weather warms up, not get injured again, hopefully. Implemented huge flexibility program like I haven't since I was in college to help prevent that. This is something, I'm going to introduce a new word to many of you here. It's called Dharma. Okay, we've heard of karma, and I don't think people understand karma to the degree that they should. It's not just so much about, if you do bad things to others, you're going to have bad things done to you. Or if you do good things to others, you're going to have good things done to you. That's only part of it. Man, the energy of our universe, of which we are a part, is so connected. Karma relates even to thoughts. So if you're that guy, you're that girl's always looking about how negative the world is, how terrible it is, how people suck, that's what the universe is going to give you, because that's what you're sending out. Okay, it's called the law of attraction, but it's an example of karma through thought. Okay, now this Dharma, what is this Dharma thing and where's it coming from? I read a lot, and a lot of times folks will recommend books to me in the comment section. Like if I talk about a book I've recently read or one I'm writing or whatever. About a year or so ago, somebody recommended this book to me. It's called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, who is pretty much like one of the main spiritual gurus of our time. This book was actually written in like 94, I think, so this isn't new. It was a simple read. I bought it a year ago when that person recommended that I buy it, but it just took me forever. You should see the pile of books. And it's not because I'm lazy and don't get around to reading them. It's because I read so much, it takes me a while to get to them. But it was a simple book to read. I read it in like one morning, like 2.5 hours. It's only like 113 pages long, big print. It's not hard. And the 7 spiritual laws, I'm not going to go over them in detail here, except for the 2, karma, which I have, but he introduced me to the term Dharma. I want to talk about it. Dharma refers to fulfilling your purpose. This is a large part of what I was saying earlier about how so many people know what they are, but they don't know who they are. It's because so many people don't really know why they're doing what they do. For instance, doctors, lawyers. How many people that got into that profession did so because of the income? They thought, well, if I'm a doctor, I'm going to have a lot of student loan debt at first, but eventually, if I'm really good at it, I'll make a lot of money and I'll help a lot of people. And a lot of folks get into medicine because they want to help. It's not about the money. Those people, I would say, probably are very aware of their purpose. It's to help people. But people that pursue anything for money, what I've found, it's been my experience, normally they don't make any, because when that's the sole purpose of it, okay, your heart's not really in the right place. There's this great challenge of trying to get your head and your heart in the right place, in the same place at the same time. Once upon a time, I wrote for money, and I didn't really make any. Once I got past that and I just started writing because it was my love, it was my passion, and I wrote for myself, and I didn't even care if people read what I wrote or not, things took a big change. They took a big upswing, and the next thing you know, I'm bringing my family back to the United States from the Philippines and getting this place here outside of Charlottesville. It's because through my passion, of writing, forgetting about money, I realized at some point I could also inspire others. If you read the Bigfoot Sasquatch files, yeah, you know, there's Bigfoot Sasquatch and all those stories, but the story's not really about Bigfoot Sasquatch. There's a moral, there's a lesson. A lot of them are inspirational. This, I feel, is a bit of a purpose. So it's finding that purpose, not so much the profession. And that is how we discover our Dharma. So that was the point I was trying to make in that video before I was just, this mainstream media, these people. Oh, look at that. What are they going to say about me now? I said these people, they're going to cancel me? Whatever. So, reading this book kind of confirmed some stuff I already knew that just kind of gave me some terminology for it. But you ask, how is it that we get to that point of knowing our purpose? You know, I know some... Well, that's a different topic for a different time. I'm going to read you part of this book, and this is going to be the ending. I'll wrap this up. This isn't going to be one of those 40-minute long videos. This is something that we do with our son, and we've done this his whole life. We knew we were doing it, but it was really neat to see confirmation. This guy did it with his kids too. Okay, our son, he's a great student. He does great in school. He's always reading. He writes. He excels at math. We never hear anything but good things from his teachers. And a lot of it is because he goes to an excellent school. He's had excellent teachers. Very supportive community. Very classy community here. So you think ahead, what do you want for your son? Well, part of me and my wife, dearly, aka Giggly Girl, we would love to see him go to UVA, you know, or any college if he wanted to go somewhere else. But at the same time, we don't care if he doesn't. And I'm being honest with you, because, I mean, to be frank, he wants to be a YouTuber, and we're not letting him do it yet because he's too young. But when he's older, when he's a teenager, absolutely, we're going to help him. We're going to set him up. And I'm convinced, and I'm not bragging, this is just the reality of it. Before he's out of high school, he'll probably be earning more money than any of his teachers or principals at his high school. That's just how this thing works. Social media, if you can get into it and you can succeed with it, which I think every single one of you watching can, everybody can. We're just talking about a 28-year-old girl from Vermont who just ran 95 marathons in 95 days. How can you not be successful in something like social media? So what I'm kind of telling him is I'm saying, you know, you can do both. Do social media. You won't have to go to college to get a job to make money. Those days are gone. I'm a Generation Xer. I really believe my generation was the last generation who needed a college degree to get a step ahead of the competition in the hiring process. But we're past that point now. With social media, the internet, if you really don't want to do it, I think college is a waste of time and a waste of money if you're looking at from the aspect of just income earning potential. Mr. Beast, you guys know who he is, huge YouTuber, dropped out of college to do this, and I think every time he uploads a video, he makes like $50,000 or $100,000. It's just crazy. It's crazy, and he's like 23 or something. Those numbers are, they might not be actual and exact, but they're close. But here's my point. Making money is not a purpose. That's a result of the duty you fulfill, the role you play, and it can come from the purpose you serve, but that has nothing to do with your purpose. So here's what I tell my son. You know, you can do both. If you go we'd prefer you go to UVA because we're UVA fans, even though my wife and I didn't go there. So we got to be careful telling the UVA alumnus we're fans, because there's a lot of them that think that if you didn't go there, you don't have a right to be a fan. Yeah, it's Xers, Gen Xers and Boomers. These millennials and Gen Zers, they love it. I talk to them at the football games. They're like, so did you go here? I'm like, no, but I'm a big fan. He goes, that's great, man. We want everybody coming out to support our team. It's just they got like a really great attitude, so many of them. So I tell my son, okay, so let's say you do social media. Money's not a concern. You don't need it. Major in whatever you want to. What would you like to learn about? And he's like, well, I'd like to kind of maybe go into acting, maybe be an actor, and if nothing else, that could help me more on my YouTube channel. And I said, well, do that. UVA has a wonderful fine arts department, you know. I'm going to read you this now. I said I was going to earlier. This guy puts what I've been telling my son his whole life into better words and better perspective than me, and I want to share this with all of you. I know that 70% of you who watch my videos are actually older than me, so think about how you can share this information with a younger person in your life, either, a child, a grandchild, nieces, nephews. But it has to do with Dharma, purpose, okay? The seventh spiritual law of success is the law of Dharma. And again, I'm not committing copyright infringement. This is Deepak Chopra, Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, copywritten material. Reading a part of it with it because I think this will inspire you. The seventh spiritual law of success is the law of Dharma. Dharma is a Sanskrit word that means purpose in life. The law of Dharma says that we have taken manifestation in physical form to fulfill a purpose. The field of pure potentiality is divinity in its essence, and the divine takes human form to fulfill a purpose. You've probably heard it said, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. That's truly what I believe life is. According to this law, you have a unique talent. Listen closely. How many times have I said this in videos? And I just read this book a few days ago. According to this law, you have a unique talent and a unique way of expressing it. There is something that you can do better than anyone else in the whole world. And for every unique talent and unique expression of that talent, there are also unique needs. When these needs are matched with the creative expression of your talent, that is the spark that creates affluence, expressing your talents to fulfill needs creates unlimited wealth and abundance. I don't care about, I say I don't care. It's about fulfilling that purpose. Everything else just comes. It just comes. Now listen here. If you could start children right from the beginning with this thought, you'd see the effect it has on their lives. In fact, I did this with my own children. Again and again, I told them there was a reason why they were here, and they had to find out what that reason was for themselves. From the age of 4 years, they heard this. I also taught them to meditate when they were about the same age, and I told them, I never, ever want you to worry about making a living. If you're unable to make a living when you grow up, I'll provide for you. So don't worry about that. I don't want you to focus on doing well in school. I don't want you to focus on getting the best grades or going to the best colleges. What I really want you to focus on is asking yourself how you can serve humanity and asking yourself what your unique talents are. Because you have a unique talent that no one else has, and you have a special way of expressing that talent, and no one else has it. They ended up going to the best schools, getting the best grades, and even in college, they are unique in that they are financially self-sufficient because they are focused on what they are here to give. This, then, is the law of Dharma. See, it's not about getting. It's about giving, and it's not necessarily giving money to people who are less fortunate than you. It can be giving inspiration, like Alyssa, 28-year-old young lady who ran 95 marathons in 95 days. And the inspiration that gives me and others who hear that story. So the talent is not necessarily the running, it's the inspiration. I've mentioned several times Muhammad Ali. He's one of my heroes, even though he passed away in 2016. He lived down the road from us, across the county line in Nelson County, and he was in Charlottesville all the time. I never saw him. We have good friends whose mother, we call her Grandma. She's like our surrogate grandmother here in the U.S. It's like my wife's best friend's mom. She saw him in a restaurant one day in Charlottesville, and they're about the same age. I think Grandma's 78. Ali was 76 when he died, I think, in 2016. So she grew up, as a young adult watching him. Big fan. She said she knew she shouldn't approach him because she figured he got that all the time, but she loved this man so much she had to. She simply walked up to him in the restaurant and she said, I'm so sorry to disturb you. This probably happens all the time, but I just want to let you know that I love you so much. And he thanked her, he smiled, and he said hello, but then she kept going. She didn't, take up his time. Thought I heard something. Make sure you're getting my six. I detect the movement back here. But, I'm going to end with this. I keep saying, we're going to end with this, we're going to end with this. Then I just keep on going, just keep on rambling. When you think of Muhammad Ali, what comes to mind is the greatest boxer of all time, right? Well, his good friend, former nemesis, George Foreman, doesn't refer to him as that. He says he's the greatest man of all time, greatest man that ever lived. And what I will tell you is that he is one of the greatest inspirations to have ever lived. If you are down, if you feel unmotivated, if you feel like there's something you want to do but you can't, when you're finished watching this video, go up there into the search bar and just type in Muhammad Ali. Just pull that up and you'll see all these videos come up, 4 minutes long, 8 minutes long, 12 minutes long, some of them longer, of him just talking, or inspirational videos based upon his life, his outlook, his view. He got this. He got Dharma. In my view, Muhammad Ali was not just the greatest boxer in the history of the sport, but he was one of the greatest inspirers, if that's a word, in the history of the human race. He's dead. You know, he stopped boxing. It's really sad. You could tell, in my opinion, that he was already suffering from the Parkinson's there when he was still fighting at the end. I think most people knew it. But he continued to inspire because of what he did and the things he said. And he's been dead now for 5 years. And on days I don't feel like running because I just don't, I love it. And I said that at the beginning of the video, but there are days when I'm tired. Maybe I didn't sleep very well the night before. Maybe I've been training too much. My body's worn down and beat down. But I know that if I want to continue to get better and get to where I want to be, I have to. I'll go watch that guy. I'll go watch an 8 or 10 minute long video of that guy. And man, I can't tie my shoes fast enough to get out the door. And he's already dead. That was a man who understood his purpose. And his purpose continues to send ripple effects all these years after he's already died. So there's some food for thought today. I hope you got something out of this video. It was about so much more than this 28-year-old woman running 95 marathons in 95 days. That's a heck of a feat. But the inspiration that comes from that feat, her name's in a record book. Okay, our names are not there, hers is. But the number of people that will be inspired because of what she did, she'll never know how far. It's like teachers. They say about teachers, you never know how far your reach will be. I mean, there are the best doctors right now out there somewhere, the best lawyers, the best artists, the best writers who do what they do because they were inspired by a teacher maybe back in 2nd grade or 3rd grade or 5th grade or high school. So you never know how far your effect will go. Now, you're not going to be able to have this ripple effect and your effect going on if all you're doing is watching negative mainstream media, internalizing that, sending negative thoughts to the world about how bad the world is, and then you're spewing that when you come into contact with others. Stop. Stop. Kill your television, go outside and play, become inspired, and then go out and inspire others. For now, I got somebody I got to go find. See you next time.